What's up? Stevie D from Testament here. On the Bass Strikes Back tour. It's a tour of 3 prominent Bay Area thrash bands, Testament, Exodus, Death Angel. And on this tour with the 3 bands, we have 3 amazing bass players. So we will be talking to Jack Gibson from Exodus, Damian Sisson from Death Angel, as well as myself. We're going to be going behind the scenes and in the lowdown of what each bass player has brought to play as far as the instrument, the gear, their techniques, and things that bass players do on a tour. This show is oriented right on the base of the Bay Area thrash bands.
Jack hits the bass like so soft, I don't think he could knock a pedal off a rose.
Now, like as far as your bass playing, do you warm up or do any exercises, work on new riffs or anything?
I usually don't. I usually don't. Like when I get out here, I just get into gigging mode.
Yeah.
I'll bring my computer. I'm gonna record some stuff this time. I never take the fucking thing out of the bag, you know. And I do a little bit of pre-show warm-up now. I used to not ever warm up. I would just walk on, grab my bass,
What I do.
go bing, 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 bing,
Unfortunately,
and
that's
let's
what
go,
I do.
you know. And like the first song was the warm-up usually.
Yeah.
And it's just been lucky that most of the warm-up songs, the first songs that we have, are songs that are actually good for me to just warm up playing.
Ramp up a little.
Right. It's not like.
But so when you warm up pre-gig, are you warming up on a bass or you have like calisthenics or something?
I just do a few little stretches with my arms and then I just.
And then you grab a bass.
I just grab a bass
work
and
out some stuff.
start playing some raging riffs and you know, kind of the batter's donut idea, like play the hardest riff, and then when you go to play a riff that isn't quite as hard as that, and you're in the pocket, you know.
Yeah, because I noticed your style, your finger style, like me and Damian, of course, all 3 of us. But as far as a pick, you never use one, or occasionally, or never.
Yeah, I really am not that good with a pick. Like I don't really have any kind of string skipping technique or anything. Like I play a little bit of country guitar.
Well,
like,
I was getting around to that.
That's about it. Like that's real.
Yeah, you're actually, and your banjo skills, gotta mention.
Banjos, yeah.
I don't know if
I love
anyone
the
knows
banjo.
that Exodus metal bass player is banjo shredder.
Yes, I yeah.
But you have your country gig you do in Nashville.
Yeah.
You're playing banjo, steel.
I do a little bit of
electric
steel.
guitar.
Yeah, I do some hollow. Mostly it's banjo and hollow body guitar. I do a little mandolin and then I sing. I sing as well.
Yeah, well-rounded. That's good.
Yeah.
But so yeah, to make it relevant, does any of those instruments, any of the techniques you use relate to any of your bass for metal?
In kind of a weird way, like when I go home, I don't really think too much about this gig. I put the basses down and because then I have the other stuff there. I start playing that stuff. But then when I put the bass back on after a month or so of playing banjo, I have new ideas on the fretboard, and I'm just playing more precise because the frets are smaller on the banjo, and I'm right on, and it just kind of opens different doors that that wouldn't open just sitting on the bass and doing that. When I have students, I tell them to take up another instrument, even if you're just gonna really suck at it. Like get an acoustic guitar and learn the open chords, because you're gonna go, oh, you know what I mean? Like the G to the C, I get it. That's the fucking fourth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then you can see like what I'm showing you here is just but when you play a chord and these 2 chords go together and you realize that's the same.
There's a visual thing that
right. Then you start learning stuff back here instead of just here, and then it'll start.
I know. When I was a kid, I was forced to take piano for that reason.
Right.
Because if you start with the piano, you can play anything.
That's
I
right.
hated it, but now I live to admit,
right.
Mom was right.
Well, right, because it's all right there in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all and it's literally black and white for you. You know what I mean? Like
Very visual. Piano's completely visual.
Yeah, and you played upright too for a while, right?
That was the first string bass I played in high school band. But I didn't come from guitar to bass. I came from the orchestra and then found electric bass.
Which is why you're so good at
fretless.
Fretless is like second nature.
It started off as a fretless instrument to me. It's cello, violin, viola, they're all fretless. Yeah, so just one last thing. So more specifically your finger style. This is kind of tech nerdy, but it's interesting because it's unique to you. So you're not in the economy. You're kind of, when you're playing a slower passage, you're still using multiple fingers. You just go through them slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because
it's kind of the like the idea of like the guitar player alternate picking thing, where no matter which string you're going to go to, you go down and the next note is up. And then the next note is down, and the next note is up. So you're not going for a thing. You just work it out so that you just go.
It's a steady kind of pattern. So you have that. So almost every bass player I know, because of the nature of the hand movement, the lead finger is back here, so you can kind of pull. Is that kind of your starting position?
Yeah. I mean, I reach for a lot of notes with the ring finger. Yeah.
There's no set lead finger.
No.
But a lot of guys.
I've toiled to not have a favored finger. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because when I started,
spread the accents out evenly.
Right, and when I started playing, like I was really into Billy Sheehan. You know what I mean? And
all right.
And so I wanted to play faster. And my teacher had started with two fingers and had worked the third finger in, and he said it was so hard to work the other finger into what he had already done. He's like, just start with three, and we'll just start you with three, and we'll go from there. And so all the stuff that I ever learned, was with three. And some riffs, I'll jump to two, just when it needs it. You know what I mean?
It's a very natural thing,
right?
And it's hard to describe, and you're actually doing pretty good. I suck at describing my technique.
Yeah, I mean, it was that thing of like making a good bass at the beginning, in which all things would kind of fall into that range, where I wasn't having to add something in later. I can cut something out. That's easier. But and I was just obsessed with playing back then, and trying to be Billy. You know what I mean? And but for this type of music, that was great because then I have all the tools that I need right there in the toolbox.
And so like slap, pop, tapping.
A little bit of all those.
You do a little bit.
I used to do a whole lot more of tapping, and I actually if I have students, I have them do it because that tapping stuff really made these fingers stronger and better at playing. Like being able to just make the notes on
even distribution.
Yeah, and it just built the dexterity and the strength in these fingers. So even if you're not going to use it, it's a really good exercise to do because it builds the.
Do you think you can kind of change up and do all this stuff being a multi-instrumentalist?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I always liked Flea. But
you ain't gonna grab your banjo and do that slow 1, 2, 3 in Exodus.
No, banjo has its own set of rules that work on that instrument. And it's the same. It's the same thing. You learn these 12 things, and you can basically, by changing any of those 12, you have everything you need to know to play all the licks. And so it's kind of the same thing. Once you can. Once you can run the scale and you can do it in threes, you can do it in fours, you can do it in fives, then your brain can break it down on the spot.
Then you're not thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was one of the things Steve Bailey said when I was a really young player. People are like, when you're, playing that song and the third passage through and, how do you do it? And he's off, I don't even know. And he said, eventually, if you just keep practicing, your instincts will take over and you'll just play it. And he's right, because I play the same riff different ways sometimes.
Totally.
For no reason at all, the economy of playing the riff, and I'll use a different finger, and I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? but it landed and it's fine. And
it becomes
everything's
comfortable, muscle
Right.
memory, all that kind of stuff kicks in, and you're not overthinking it.
Right.
You don't have to apply technique when you do it all.
That's
the time.
right. That's right, and that's a really important thing. It's like just playing with people is the best thing.
How you feel. All your training and theory just comes out naturally
That's right.
at the end of it.
That's right.
And so, real quick, then, compositionally for Exodus, how your bass lines. I mean,
I mostly just do what Gary tells me. You know, because mostly we follow the riff, and like when I first got in the band, I was a lot more busy than I am now, and I'd like learn all the parts, and then Gary would be like, "No, I just want you to play the E over that part," and like he was always right. Like I'd be like, "Oh," you know, and then he'd go, "No, just hum along the thing while I do this," and then I do it, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
there's a little wrestling with the ego.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because we want to, you know,
we want to shine.
we want to shine, we want to be
Yeah.
we want to do what everyone's doing.
Right,
But
right.
you said it though, he was right.
Yeah, he's right.
Sometimes the guitarist or whoever it is in the band has the vision how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You suck it up, you do it, and then you listen to it. You're like, it's not bad at all.
Yeah,
it's
no.
not an attack on an ego, is it?
No, man. I mean, it's you're contributing to the final.
Because
idea.
why? Because you want to play something that sounds good. You want to
Yeah.
play something that people are comfortable hearing.
Yeah.
And that's our job.
Yeah.
You know, naturally bass is a supportive instrument.
Yes.
Supportive.
Yeah.
Support.
Yeah.
Support. But yeah, and so for a bass player, you know, you want to shine, you want to stand out, you want to be the man, but really you're the man when everyone's happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, your job is to like link the drums with the rest of the music. You know what I mean?
And sometimes doing that is doing a little bit less than you would hope for.
Yeah.
But when you do it successfully, the reward's there. Right?
Yeah.
It's a good message. A lot of metal bass players take a long time to learn that.
Right.
And when we get there, you still feel good about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Great message, man.
Yeah.
Excellent talk, man. Thank you, brother. Yeah, great tour, man. It's been my honor to do it with you, actually. It's been cool, and I think we've been fucking raising that flag for metal bass the whole time.
No, it's been a great tour.
Yeah.
We're gonna do more, I think.
I am
That's the
100% sure we are. So we'll see you then. Maybe we'll do some more of it.
Yeah.
All right, bud. Kill it.
Kill it.
All right. Peace.
Jack is a consummate professional. I think of all the bass players, and there's only really been two before him, Rob McKillop and Mike Butler. I think Jack kind of fucking nails it really, really hard. And his attack, his tone, and the way he plays his bass is very fitting for Exodus, I must say. So people ask all the time, you know, would you ever think of getting Robbie or Butler back? And it's like, you know, that's one place that I would never think of changing, you know, back to one of the original guys ever, because he's so solid there, you know. That's my opinion of Jack. I love playing in a band with him.
Stevie D. Well, it's kind of like a mad scientist. Only bass player I know who does a 3-string wild bass playing. As you know, when he first came into the band, he only had 3 strings. I think he said he couldn't afford the 4th one. But could do amazing stuff on those 3 strings that I've never seen other bass players do on 4. So to have him in the band is quite awesome, first of all. But as a human being, he's pretty awesome as well. Yeah.
All right, a little bit about my technique. I've never been really that good at describing my own technique, but I've had chances to talk with Damien and Jack about theirs and heard their comments about mine and put in a little perspective. So clearly I'm a finger player, call it pizzicato. I can't say I never use a pick, but I rarely ever do. I'll choose one song out of a set once in a while to get a good slicey pick sound. To me, sometimes it's some of the slower stuff. I don't have a really good dexterity or any kind of, ability with a pick, not like a proper pick player. So I stick pretty much to the fingers, which I use pretty much all of. I don't think this one gets much action. But talking to the other guys, they will lay their hands out and roll and use their fingers in a very economy way, where mine is kind of like going through a gear set. When it's slow to medium speed, this is the main one. This one is pulling all the notes, and then go a little faster, throw the second one in, and of course the really fast stuff, or stuff in triplets or sextuplets. I have 3, and then talking with Alex Webster way back in the day, who's very focused on finger technique, we discovered that there's a method where I would, instead of just raking a gallop all the time, I would start here, go here, and then go back to the middle, and it's kind of a back and forth. And when you're pedal picking, it's very easy, but once you're skipping strings or hitting accents on different strings, that method isn't something to really, overuse. It's a small example in many different techniques, many ways to change the accents from different fingers. Just like the other 2 guys on the tour, this is usually the finger that starts. It's just a natural motion to the hand to start there. But like I said, and also the position of the hand on the bass, I don't have a certain preference to anchor over either of the pickups. But playing fretless, when you move your hand up towards the neck, it gives you a more deliberate fretless sound, because you're striking the string more in the mid part of it. And when I need a quick snap accent, I'll back down to a shorter part of the string down by the bridge, pop it down there. So sometimes my hand's moving in different positions. There's kind of a speed area. There's a nice, vocal area for the fretless up towards the neck, and then there's the quick snappy part down by the bridge. Obviously, like most guys, I use the side of my thumb, bang some big accents, but I'm not much of a slap pop guy. Tapping, very rare. I have to work up to tapping. I could learn something in a slow start and build up to it, but to just pull something out of the hat and tap away, not for me. With this hand, it's all over the place. So we're just, in the context of Testament, the riffs are extremely metal, and there's not a lot of arpeggios, there's not a lot of stuff you need to really fly through. The speed is here, which is keeping lock with the drums, but it's heavy metal, and the technique for that is really more rhythmic based than melodic. My approach compositionally is entirely with the drums, locking with Gene's accents. The times that it goes a little bit adventurous and there's some melody is when there's some tom fills and he's maybe doing some rhythmic stuff with the toms, and that's when I can kind of echo where the drums are doing that. But pretty much it's the bottom part of the rhythm guitar locked with drums, and that's the Testament sound, pocket, pocket, pocket. And it's a good style to have. Testament has a formula that works really well, works very well for years. I come from a way more technical background, way more extreme, and involves a lot more improvising, involves a lot more kind of stepping out, lead playing, doubling melodies, and the bass is really equal, if not out front of some of that stuff. So it was you know, a little bit of a conscious effort to fit into the Testament mold, but you know, I've been here now about 12, 13 years and done, well, four albums, I think now. So I think we got the formula down. And yeah, technique wise, it's very specific to Testament we're speaking today. So really, when you're approaching bass in Testament, it's about just being heavy, it's about being solid, and it's about having a lot of fun with it, which I've managed to accomplish over the night. So, you know, there's evidence out there, videos where you can see the fun we're having on stage. But the fun comes with a lot of work behind it, and we've worked hard to get to this level, nail it night after night. Like I tell myself in my head, every night I go up there, I'm recording a live album. I don't get it every night, but that's my goal. So, on to the next night and a new live album. Cheers.
So to get the first thing out of the way, I mean, you don't use a pick, ever.
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
So you played primarily fingers, well, completely fingers. Pizzicato, they say.
Yeah, pizzicato.
So what about your technique? I mean, how would you describe your own technique?
My technique has changed over the years, and a lot of it's become at the suggestion of our sound guy, Tilo. When I first started playing, I think every bass player who's into metal wants that Steve Harris attack, tone, and mix.
He did bring out
Right, that gallop, that clank, and so for the longest time I've really been trying to replicate that, and he's been a huge influence on my playing. But as I get feedback from Tilo, he's like, you know, sometimes your strings are hitting your pickups, or it's creating a clack, and I have to turn you down. So I've gone from learning my permutations as, you know, 1-2, to doing back and forth, which I learned from Alex Webster. And then sometimes you have to do, it's not a back and forth, it's not an index, middle, ring, index, sometimes it's a back and forth. And then I've gotten to the point where I started seeing Geddy Lee would use a thumb and an index. And that allows you to palm mute, which can give you a more variety of sound. And then I saw a step further that Victor Wooten was using only thumb, which has a little bit more. So, you know, depending on what part of the song it is, I'll be going from fingers to the thumb index, to the back and forth. This guy, I feel like, has the roly-poly sound. This has more of a, it's a 2. And then going back, so each one has like a slightly different, you know, frequency wave pattern. I've tried to get away from the choppy, more of a do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Then I call it, if you look at a frequency graph, it's like rolling hills rather than aggro crags.
What do you call that technique yourself?
Well, the rolling
hills.
The rolling hills.
The rolling hills.
You know, the frequency line on is more of a hill than like a sharp peak.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it just seems like I would have never came up with this on my own. But getting feedback from our sound guy, realizing if I want to get a better mix, I got to do what he wants. And it's not all that different than what we have to do within the playing too. It's like if I want to get a better mix, I have to somewhat placate to the drummer and the guitar player, and mindful of where the vocals are too.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, when bass players do have to kind of be like in water and you know fill in where there isn't quite, where there's a lot of suggestion but not necessarily implied. So we have to kind of fill that in there and make it. That is where we dwell, I think, and that's where we have our
like
goals.
some of the early references, bass being this foundation, but it's not really. If you picture a brick wall, the foundation is the drums.
Yeah.
The guitar riffs are all the bricks.
Right.
But none of that would be a wall without the mortar, and that's where we are finding the nooks and crannies to do our stuff to stick everything together.
Absolutely, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's fun in that I feel like I think Steve and I might probably both do this, but there's ever so much room for improv every night.
Oh yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. You say, oh yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that too loud because my guitar players are going to see this and be like, hey. But there's always a little bit of
There's
room.
always YouTube.
Yeah. There's always a little bit of a room for us to kind of get a little creative or feel it. Whereas I kind of feel like, if you're some of the other guys, it's going to be in your face. We can do it more. I always say too, bass is subconscious. you might not notice in your ears what's going on, but you'll feel the difference. And I also say, you know, you don't hear us, you feel us.
But you have to change up little parts here and there to keep it interesting for yourself.
And
Like
rooms, too.
yeah, the overall part is nice and repetitious, keeps the song, but you know your spots that you can fluctuate here and there, try stuff. I know. I have to try to tame mine back.
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, but I'm doing better as I get older. When I grow up, I'm going to be a real bass player.
Everybody knows you are the preeminent heavy metal bass player. You're there.
And coming from a bass player is very constructive. So that stuff I take to heart more than fanboying and stuff. So I appreciate that a lot.
Appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, man.
You've been great. I mean, it's always been remembered by me. But people change when you get in certain bands. But you were always cool to me. You know, before I stepped up to the level. And that means a lot to me.
Bass players always have a fraternity. We have our camaraderie. We are the battered wives of our own bands, so we stick together in our own support group. We will never shit on each other because we face that daily.
That is a lovely thing about the bass community is that you see guitar players get catty with each other, kind of give each other eagle eyes. Like, if a bass player is like, if I meet a bass player that's better than me, it's not intimidating. It's an opportunity for me to congratulate the guy and learn. Totally. And I feel like a lot of bass players, like, they're not intimidated by better bass players. They're inspired by, and they want to learn something. And I feel like that is something that's a little bit more unique to the bass community. And it really is a bass community, but I feel like that's something unique to the bass community.
It is.
That willingness to support each other and learn from each other.
The competition factor is not very evident. It's more of a support, you know, growing. I remember in the 80s watching Les Claypool play Blind Illusion. I couldn't wait to get home and try that stuff. He was like, oh, I was like, this is like a white Stanley Clark in metal. It's a blah, blah.
Right.
And it just gave me validity of my own popping chords on the Rickenbacker.
He was definitely an innovator and opened up the landscape for what we could do.
Yeah,
for sure.
Too bad about that Primus thing. Didn't really hit very good.
Those New Year's gigs that they do every year, they don't really sell out.
No. I'm waiting for the Blind Illusion reunion when Les gets his fucking head straight.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to go where the real music is.
Right on.
Well, Damien, it's been great touring with you, as well as Jack, and I think we have raised the flag for metal bass.
What I want to hear.
Yeah, and I think we've done well. It's been an honor for me to do it with you guys, and I believe we will do it again. I think 2020 is a year of bass vision. I think we'll see each other soon.
Please.
All right, bud.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So hey, it's Mark from Death Angel, and jamming with Damien's been awesome from the moment he joined the band. I mean, from the moment he joined the band, he was the most proficient musician in the band, and it's actually in an odd way helped us all step up our game and in a beautiful way. But I think what he lends to the band is it's almost. It's just hard to say. Where some people would just ride on a high top string or hit on the one, he just brings incredible melody to a rhythm that's being played. Other than the vocal melody. So it's just he's one of those guys that finds amazing melodic space where a lot of bassists wouldn't.